Every night at 4 a.m. I catch these things on my Ring camera. It finally got inside. I moved into the house a few months ago, looking forward to some peace and quiet. It was a small, unassuming place on the edge of town, and it seemed perfect for a fresh start. I didn't know what I'd signed up for. The first time I saw it on my Ring camera, I nearly dismissed it as a glitch. The notification had woken me up around 4 a.m., and I pulled out my phone to check. There, in the dim glow of the streetlight, I saw something. It was no more than 1.5 feet tall, lurking at the edge of my yard, just outside the door's range of light. It had the face of a child, a baby almost, but the features were wrong, twisted somehow, with a wide, gaping smile and eyes that were black and sunken. Its mouth looked too large, stretching almost ear to ear, and the skin was pale and unnatural, almost translucent under the light. The body was even stranger, small and hunched with bony limbs covered in patchy, thin skin, like some deformed creature out of a nightmare. The sight of it paralyzed me, and I sat there in bed staring at the screen trying to comprehend what I was seeing. Then suddenly the feed went static, and when it cleared, the creature was gone. The footage was corrupted, nothing but a smear of noise when I tried to replay it the next day. I told myself it was nothing, maybe an animal, maybe a trick of the light, but it happened again the next night, and the night after that. Each time it appeared at 4 a.m. right outside my front door, creeping closer and closer. And each time the footage would corrupt itself, leaving only a fragment, a glitchy mess of static. But I knew what I was seeing was real. It was no coincidence. Something was watching me, and it was getting bolder. I started staying up, watching the live feed on my phone, waiting for 4 a.m. I'd sit there, clutching my blanket, hoping I was wrong, that maybe this time it wouldn't show. But night after night, there it was, that twisted face peering up at the camera, smiling, staring right at me through the lens. It was as though it knew I was watching. And the worst part, each night it seemed to edge closer. A couple of weeks into this horrifying routine, I was exhausted, barely functioning. I hadn't had a full night's sleep since it started. My hands would shake as I watched the footage, dreading what I'd see but feeling powerless to stop myself. It was like I was trapped in some waking nightmare, unable to look away. Then one night it happened. I'd dozed off for a few minutes, just a quick blink, but when I opened my eyes, it was already 4:03 a.m. I scrambled for my phone, cursing myself for falling asleep, and opened the Ring app. My hands were slick with sweat, my heart pounding as I waited for the live feed to load. Nothing. The porch was empty. Relief fluttered me, but it was short-lived. My phone buzzed in my hand, a new notification. Motion detected at your front door. I stared at the screen, my hands trembling. Slowly I pressed play. The feed loaded, and there it was, standing directly in front of the camera, grinning up at me with those black hollow eyes, its mouth stretching wider, almost impossibly so. This time it wasn't alone. There was something small and glinting in its hand. A key. I couldn't breathe. How did it have my house key? I'd never given a spare to anyone. It was supposed to be hidden in a lockbox on the back porch. I didn't even have the strength to get up, to check if the key was still there, to convince myself that what I was seeing was impossible. Instead, I just sat there, frozen, staring at the screen, and then the feed went to static again. When it cleared, the creature was gone. But before I could even process what I'd seen, I heard it. The unmistakable sound of my front door clicking open. My blood ran cold. I heard the creak of the door swinging open, followed by the soft, deliberate padding of footsteps against the floor. I stayed perfectly still, holding my breath, my pulse thundering in my ears. The footsteps were quiet, unhurried, like it knew exactly where it was going. A part of me wanted to leap up, to hide, but I was paralyzed as though the weight of every sleepless night had finally caught up to me, pinning me in place. I listened helpless as the creature moved through the house, its footsteps growing louder, closer, until I could feel its presence just outside my bedroom door. The doorknob twisted slowly, and the door creaked open. There it was, standing in the doorway, grinning at me with that too wide mouth, its eyes glinting with a dark, gleeful malice. It tilted its head, observing me like I was some curiosity, something to be toyed with. And then, in a voice that was thin and hollow, it spoke.
Sleep well.
My heart hammered as it took a step into the room, its bony limbs creaking, its head tilting from side to side. I tried to scream, to move, but my body refused to respond. I could only watch, helpless, as it crept closer, those tiny clawed fingers reaching out. Then I felt it, something brushing my ankle. My phone buzzed in my hand, and I looked down, the screen lighting up with a new notification. Motion detected in the hallway. I opened the app, unable to process what I was seeing. The live feed showed my own bedroom, empty, but from the hallway outside, the creature was watching, crouched at the edge of the frame. And then, one by one, more notifications flooded in. Motion detected in the kitchen. Motion detected in the living room. Motion detected at your front door. The screen was filled with them, each one showing that grinning creature in a different part of the house, always watching, waiting. I looked back up and it was gone, the room empty, as though it had never been there. But I could still feel its presence, lurking in the shadows, somewhere in the house, always watching, waiting. I don't sleep anymore. Every night I sit there, phone in hand, watching as the notifications pile up, each one showing the creature in a different room, always moving, always closer. And I know, one night it's going to stop waiting. It's only a matter of time.